This is part 5 of our October series, Death Cars. James Dean. James Byron Dean was born on February 8, 1931 in Marion, Indiana. He was an only child. James and his parents moved to LA when he was 6 years old. James was very close to his mother, but she tragically passed from cancer when James was just 9 years old. He was then sent to live with his aunt and uncle on their farm back in Indiana, where he would complete high school. Per Dean's essay to his high school principal, "I had always lived such a talented life. I studied violin, played in concerts, tap danced on theater stages, but most of all, I liked art, to mold and create things with my hands. I came back to Indiana to live with my uncle. I lost the dancing and violin, but not the art. I think my life will be devoted to art and dramatics, and there are so many different fields of art it would be hard to follow up. And if I did, there are so many different things to do. Farm, sports, science, geology, coaching, teaching music. I got it, and know if I better myself that there will be no match. A fellow must have confidence." He also stated, "My hobby, or what I do in my spare time, is motorcycle. I know a lot about them mechanically, and I love to ride. I have been in a few races and have done well." After graduation, he moved back out to California. He attended junior college and then UCLA and began taking acting workshops. He appeared in several commercials and received many roles on the screen and stage. He wanted to become a serious actor and moved to New York in 1951. He was one of the youngest to make it into the esteemed Actors Studio. In a letter to his family, Dean said, "If I can keep this up and nothing interferes with my progress, one of these days I might be able to contribute something to the world." He appeared in a number of TV dramas and Broadway shows. His last Broadway performance earned him a screen test for a screen adaptation of East of Eden. He returned to Hollywood. East of Eden was a huge success, and James still had racing in his heart and celebrated by getting his first Porsche, entering it into the Palm Springs road races. He began shooting Rebel Without a Cause that same month, and Eden opened nationwide in April. In May, he entered the Bakersfield race and finished shooting Rebel. He entered one more race in Santa Barbara before he joined the cast and crew of Giant in Marfa, Texas. As stated in his biography, James Dean had one of the most spectacularly brief careers of any screen star. In just more than a year and in only 3 films, Dean became a widely admired screen personality, a personification of the restless American youth in the mid-50s, and the embodiment of the title of one of his films, Rebel Without a Cause. On September 30th, 1955, the 24-year-old actor began his journey to the Salinas Road race. He originally was going to trailer his car, a Porsche Spyder nicknamed Little Bastard, but decided to drive last minute along with his mechanic, Rolf Wutherick. He was banned from racing while filming until mid-September by Warner Brothers. He bought the Spyder hastily as soon as the ban was lifted. He thought that he should get used to driving the car since it was so new. The road and time of day made the journey dangerous, especially in a low car. He went regardless. He got a speeding ticket at 3:30 that afternoon, and then at 5:45 p.m. in Cholami, California, he noticed a Ford Tudor sedan heading directly towards him while he was preparing to turn left at an intersection. Per Wutherick, James said, "That guy's gotta stop. He'll see us." But then the two cars collided head-on. Wutherick was thrown from the car, suffering broken bones. The driver of the other car, 23-year-old Californian Polytechnic State University student Donald Turnipseed, was dazed, but mostly uninjured. As for the Porsche, upon impact, it spun in the air before crashing back down to the earth and rolling to the side of the road, all the while with James Dean still inside. It was stated by those who tried to help at the scene that Dean was as mangled as the car. Turnipseed was never charged, and eyewitnesses stated that Dean had not been speeding despite his previous ticket. James Dean was pronounced dead upon arrival at Pasos Robles War Memorial Hospital shortly after 6 p.m. The legend of the curse of Little Bastard soon began to spread. Fans were quick to point out that Dean had previously filmed a PSA for safe driving, cautioning viewers to, quote-unquote, "take it easy driving, the life you might save might be mine." This was certainly eerie enough, but soon other strange incidents were also reported. One came firsthand from Sir Alec Guinness, who in 1977 interview told the strange story of his first and only meeting with James Dean. Guinness met Dean one night in Hollywood, and Dean proudly showed off his newly purchased Porsche. He declared that it could go up to 150 miles per hour, although admitting he had not even been inside the car yet. Guinness recalled how, quote, "some strange thing came over me, some almost different voice, and I said, please do not get into that car, because if you get into that car at all, it's now Thursday, 10 o'clock at night, and by 10 o'clock at night next Thursday, you'll be dead if you get into that car." It was bizarre, and Dean shrugged it off, but Dean did indeed die that next Thursday. Dr. William Eskridge bought the Porsche from a salvage yard in Burbank and proceeded to strip it for parts. Eskridge installed the Porsche's engine in his Lotus 9 race car, then loaned the transmission and suspension parts to fellow doctor and racer Troy McHenry. Eskridge crashed the Lotus at the 1956 Pomona sports car races and survived, but McHenry was not so lucky. He hit a tree and was killed in the same race. Publicity manager George Barris bought the Spyder shell, promising to rebuild it. It was beyond recovery, so Barris chose to capitalize on the car's notoriety. The Porsche was loaned to the Los Angeles chapter of the National Safety Council from 1957 to 59, and it went on a morbid tour of car shows, movie theaters, and bowling alleys. In March of 1959, while in storage in Fresno, the car mysteriously caught fire. It suffered remarkably little damage, 2 melted tires, and some singed paint. Meanwhile, Barris had sold a pair of tires from the 550, and both reportedly blew at the same time, causing the new owner to careen off the road. There are other unconfirmed stories of Little Bastard's post-accident life. The car is said to have fallen from its display while on show in Sacramento, breaking the hip of a bystander. The Spyder also reportedly fell on and killed George Barkas, the driver who transported it to a road safety expo. Finally, the Porsche is rumored to have disappeared from a sealed boxcar in 1960 while en route from Miami to Los Angeles. Some believe that Barris, ever the showman, fabricated that story as a way of keeping the car's mystique alive. Despite $1 million reward for information being offered in 2005, Little Bastard's whereabouts remain unknown. With Barris himself now gone and no sign of the car for 60 years, we may never know. The latest rumor is that it is in a warehouse hidden behind a wall. The transaxle spent a decade or so under the porch of Piedmont-based Porsche aficionado named Jim Barrington. In the early 90s, Barrington sold the part to Massachusetts-based Porsche collector Jack Stiles. He then mounted and stored the transaxle, quote-unquote, Ark of the Covenant style, in a crate for the next 30 years, and just last year sold that part for $382,000. Only 90 of the 550 Spyders were ever built, and only a handful remain today. Joe Hyams, in the James Dean biography Little Boy Lost, sums up his career. There is no simple explanation for why he has come to mean so much to so many people today. Perhaps it is because, in his acting, he had the intuitive talent for expressing the hopes and fears that are a part of all young people. In some movie magic way, he managed to dramatize brilliantly the questions every young person in every generation must resolve.